Welcome to Bills Camp Day Recap. I'm Thad Brown along with Rachel Leiber. Josh Reed will join us a little later on in the show. The Bills opened their preseason with a defeat, 34-25. The Giants made just enough plays at the end. Shane Buechele, an ugly-looking snap, not his fault, but that was the death knell for the Bills today. Not that anyone really cares too much about the final score, the record, the wins, the losses. In fact, to be honest, Rachel, and the thing that I think most people are going to talk about the most coming out of this game is the guy who didn't play at all. That would be James Cook. So he comes out for warm-ups, does participate on the field in the warm-up drills, went through what seemed like a full warm-up, and then laughed and joked his way through the game on the sideline. And he wasn't the only veteran who did that. After the game, Sean McDermott said that he talked with James Cook, essentially convinced him to come out for warm-ups, and he wanted him to play in the game, but Cook said no, based on the contract situation that's going on. So now that we've seen Cook maybe thaw the ice a little bit, do you feel better at all about the overall situation right now?
I do. I think him putting on the jersey is telling that maybe this is headed in the right direction. I think if he wouldn't have shown up in, a jersey at all, and if he could have refused if Sean McDermott said, we want you out there doing warm-ups, he could have said no. I mean, he's not opposed to saying no in the past. So I feel like him putting on the jersey, him coming out here is a good sign that maybe we are moving in the right direction of whatever, that may be for him, for the team. But I think it was a good thing to see.
It is a good point that he could have said no. I mean,
he's said it before. He's said it before.
He's been saying no pretty much all week. I will say, though, that when the story comes out that Sean McDermott says that he more or less was able to twist his arm a little bit.
Yeah, convince kind of makes me feel a little more uneasy about it. But
I think I feel uneasy about the big picture. I think the whole contract standoff doesn't feel like it is advanced too much, but it is certainly a step in the right direction that Cook was on the field for at least the warm-ups.
At least the warm-ups.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about some of the things that went on the field today. And, right off the bat, the Bills' first-team defense, Matt Milano makes a great stop. This is the same Matt Milano we've seen all through camp, getting all the way to the sideline, taking down a receiver for a gain of 0. And then Trey White got picked on a little bit. Give me your reaction, because I think the way you reacted to it is the same way a lot of Bills fans out there thought.
Yeah, seeing it from the press box view, it kind of seemed like he might have been a step behind, throughout that first series, maybe the first few drives. But, kind of as you mentioned, it's a tough position to play. It's a tough position to be in, and it's not something to worry about, as we discussed. But it did kind of seem like, he was getting behind a little bit, and those receivers were getting out in front of him, and he seemed frustrated. That was the other thing too. He did not seem happy. I mean, as you wouldn't be if all of these receivers are making the catches off of you. But I mean, it's not something to worry about. But it did kind of seem at first like maybe he was trying to get back in the feel of things. But I mean, like we said, I don't feel like it's a point of concern.
It's funny, we were talking about this before, and your kind of initial Trey White reaction was he didn't play a good game.
Yeah.
And on the field, I'm watching, and I did notice the frustration, like you said, but I never really thought his game was bad, because, look, when you're playing soft technique like that, you are basically giving the receiver the short routes. You're saying, look, we're going to make sure you don't get 30, and if you take 7, you take 7. Now, would you want Trey White to make a couple of those plays? Sure, and even Trey White wanted Trey White to make those plays. He's pounding his fist afterward. But I don't think the catches he gave up, for the most part, were things you would expect your run-of-the-mill corner, or even a generally above-average corner, to stop. So to me, I walk away from this game not at all worried about the way Trey White has played or where he's going. I thought what happened in this game was appropriate. The other thing people got to remember, too, this league is built to complete passes, So the fact that Trey White gave up 2 short ones, or whatever it is, 3 short ones.
Yeah, he didn't get beat deep or anything like that. There wasn't like any crazy, 20 or 40 or whatever, long deep balls that he missed. So like you said, it's just those short gains, which is, going to happen in this league.
And he's not getting beat on, other types of routes, kind of dig routes over the middle, or kind of comeback routes deep down the field. Those little stop routes, there are a lot of defenses, especially a week 1 super vanilla, exhibition defense. Those things are going to be allowed. I'm not concerned at all. On the defensive line, especially with the starters, a couple of new guys, really stood out in this game. Joey Bosa early when he played, he wasn't going to play against second teamers. And then Michael Hoyt a little later in the game. Give me your read on those 2 guys.
Yeah, Michael Hoyt definitely was out there making his presence known. It kind of made me think of the bigger picture of this is a guy that is not going to be here the first 6 games of the season, and what is that going to impact this D line, because he was the one out there today that stood out to me of putting that pressure on. I think he got a hand on one of the passes that went up, and just thinking of the bigger picture, like I said, what is this is it going to be a big hit to this defense when he isn't in those first 6 games? So it was something that I was kind of thinking about. And then same with Bosa, seemed like he was kind of getting the feel of things, and he said in the locker room after the game that, I'm still getting in the feel of this defense, but I feel better about it, and, he's going in the right direction. And I think he did play well today. There wasn't anything, super crazy that stood out to me about him, but he did have, an overall good day.
Stopping the run for Joey Bosa is a surprise to me in that the Bills are letting him play this many downs against the run, and they were doing it in camp too. So I guess the fact that he was successful kind of confirms what the Bills are doing, which is this guy can play on these downs and can be an asset, because he looked like it today. And it's interesting that he's still, kind of getting into the defense. I think that makes sense. A guy, he didn't play at all in the return of the blue and red here. He was down for the entire spring. So to be a little bit behind, I think, is appropriate. Here's the thing with Michael Hoyt. He plays well a lot, but we only see him do it against second teamers.
That is true.
And that was the case against today.
Point,
And look, when he's out there against second teamers, he looks like he doesn't belong in the good way, but we just haven't seen him get the run with the first team. And I don't want to say that I'm down on him, because I'm not, but it does stand out to me that every time you see Michael Hoyt 55 making a play, I'm like, oh,
you got to see who it's
exactly.
against.
Today it was Jackson Dart. It was second team offensive line. So I think your thought about what is it going to be like when he's suspended is a great one, because this is a guy, of all the new guys, outside of Joey Bosa, the rookies, Larry Ogunjobi, Hoyt is certainly the one that I think is flashing the most.
Agree,
All right. Let's talk about some of those young guys today, especially Deion Walker, because I think he was the one that, of the rookies, of the draft picks at least, who had the best day today, and the guy that stood out to you as well.
Deion Walker is he's huge, as we've said before.
He stands out to everybody.
He stands out. When you're looking at the line, you see Deion Walker. He definitely, for a rookie, had a good debut. I think he did his job. He did what he needed to do. I think there were a few maybe matchups that I thought, he's so much bigger than this guy. Maybe he should be winning these matchups. But, overall, I think he did have a good performance. He was, getting the job done. And, of those rookies, I think he was one of those that had maybe a better day out of that group as a whole.
How much did you see, because you were up in the press box, I was on the field, how much do you see, forget about the fact that he's making a play or making a stop, when it's him against the other offensive lineman, how much was he doing the pushing? How much did you think he was the one who was getting pushed?
I would say maybe like 60 him doing the pushing, 40 him getting pushed. Like I said, it stood out to me that he was kind of, a few plays he did get bullied a little bit by someone who was significantly smaller than him, and he's a rookie, and I don't even really know who he was matched up against. Could be someone who's been in the league for several years, and he's just the new guy. But
we are not dialed in on deep down the Giants.
We are not. But at the same time, like I said, I think he did have a good day, and for a rookie, he showed what he needed to do, and he's someone that can be depth, on that D line.
That's why in the NFL, just being a giant like Walker is, and he is really a monster of a man, is not enough. You've got to be able to have the technique that goes with it. At the wide receiver position, I think that there can be a discussion opened up about not only Tyrell Shavers making this team, but Christian Wilkerson too. That catch was as ridiculous as it gets for a catch that wasn't a catch. Which of the two, to you, do you think you walk away from this game saying this is a guy that's going to be harder of the two to keep off this football team?
Oh gosh, that's such a hard question. I feel like both of them have, you have Shavers, who was here last year and has been in this system, but then you have Wilkerson, who's been in the league 5 years at this point. And Wilkerson, like we said before this, it seems like he never misses. Every time he's targeted, it seems like he comes down with the ball. Regardless of, if it's a contested catch, if he's wide open, he's going to make the play. But same thing with Shavers. I've been impressed with him, and obviously today he had that deep ball. He had a few other targets, and that's a really hard question. I honestly don't even know if I have an answer for it. I think at this point, Shavers might be the guy that they would want to keep, maybe especially for special teams. But regarding, just thinking of receivers, I would say maybe Shavers they would lean more towards, just because he's been a guy that's been here and they saw him last year a little bit. And I remember he had that long touchdown last year. That's kind of the moment everybody remembers. So I would say maybe leaning more towards Shavers, but also Wilkerson is someone who same thing. He comes out here, and every time he's out here, you're like, there's Christian Wilkerson. So
the consistency with Wilkerson is a big attribute to him, and you're right. There's been very few times where you see him making a mistake. And this was a game too where there were many receivers who could not catch the straightforward pass. So just being able to catch the balls that you're supposed to catch, is something that gives him a leg up. Speaking of leg up, segue out of nowhere. Ray Davis today.
That was good.
Thank you. Ray Davis today kicked and made an extra point. Looked darn good doing it too after, practicing this week. You got a chance to talk with him in the locker room afterward about how that went. I know the guys on the sideline were super excited. I assume Ray was as well.
Oh, he was super excited. He actually said, somebody asked him, going into this, did you think there was going to be any competition as a kicker? And he said, I'm pretty sure he said Dawson Knox. I could be wrong, could be Kincaid, could be both, a tight end in the room. And he said, I was kind of worried a little bit that they might steal the job from me, and then I saw them kick and they used their toe to kick, and then I knew the job was fine. So he is somebody who I did not expect to be able to go out there and, do this in a game situation, preseason or not. He's doing what he needs to do. And, obviously we have the whole kicker situation with Caden Davis and Tyler Bass being hurt and everything, but it's a feel-good story, but also he's doing what he needs to do. It's not like he's going out there and just having fun. He's actually, making the field goals and making, the extra points or whatever it was today. Was it an extra point?
Extra point, yeah.
Extra point. He's doing it, and yeah, he seems to be having a good
But
time.
the extra points are 33 yards.
Yeah,
so that's
sure.
not a small kick, and he made that by plenty.
Yeah,
he probably has leg to get there from 40. And look, you don't ever want to run your running back out.
Yeah.
If this is like Bills Ravens week 1, Bills down 2, you don't want Ray Davis to take that
going
kick.
out there,
Exactly. But look, to have a functional someone else to handle that job, Ray Davis proved that beyond a shadow of a doubt. And look, it's also preseason, it's supposed to be fun. Yeah. There's no doubt that was the fun moment of this game for sure. All right, coming up next, we're going to be joined by Josh Reed, talk a lot more about this game. Bills lose to the Giants 34-25. You're watching Bills Camp Day Recap. We're going to take a break and be back right after this. Thad Brown, Josh Reed here at Highmark Stadium, where the Bills lose their preseason opener 34-25. Josh, the number one story, although there were so many plays on the field, so many things that happened that were football related, it was the guy who didn't play a single down, James Cook. He did dress and take part in warm-ups. Sean McDermott talked about what happened. Give me your read on where the Bills are with James Cook now, and is it any different than what you thought they were at before this game began?
Yeah, probably changed a little bit, at least a little bit. That was really, Sean was blunt after the game. He said, look, I wanted James Cook to play in this game. And he understood James's reason behind not wanting to play because of where the situation on the contract is right now. And it sounded like maybe they came to kind of a compromise, kind of a middle ground that, hey, if you're not going to play, I want you out there warming up with the team. So James comes out, he's got his full gear on, he warms up with the team, and then that's the last we saw of him. Now, it's more than we've seen from him in the past week and a half or so. So that's a step in the right direction. But man, coming into this, I thought maybe they're not real close. Maybe that's why we haven't seen in the last 4 days. Maybe they're really not that close. And I know it sounds, when Sean says I wanted him to play and he didn't, that sounds bad. I don't know. I feel like that means there's still an open dialogue there between coach and player, and that's a good thing. You want that. It sounds like it's healthy. It's a healthy conversation. So I think that him being out there with his teammates, and look, he's human like the rest of us. He's standing here on the sideline with his teammates. These are his guys. That eventually still gets inside of you and gets in your veins and makes you go, okay, I want to be back out on the field with these guys. Let's get something done.
I kind of landed in most of the same spot where you are, that the small picture is good. James Cook is still willing to do things for his teammates. He's still willing to be a part of the team, do what the coach asks, even if it's a small thing. And that is promising. It's encouraging. It's good that that line of communication is still open. But the big picture to me feels like the same, because it feels like Sean McDermott, to a degree, had to twist James Cook's arm just to get him to do a warm-up. So I don't think the Bills are any closer to a contract, but I think it's good. This proved the line of communication is not only still open, but still friendly and respectful enough that James Cook will, from time to time, make good on being a part of the team and doing things the teammates want if the coach asks him to do. Let's talk about the things that happen on the field. And I think number one, shockingly, quarterbacks. We always talk about them. 17 didn't play, but the two backups did. And I think we both kind of feel like they were good after some initial issues in this game.
Yeah, and I love the point that you made in BKL post-game show was, if you are a Mitch Trubisky guy for the job going in, you feel good about that. Mike White, if you were in that group, you feel good about that. I'm of the belief that if Mike White were to get the number 2 job, he has probably the ability to maybe sneak up and knock off a good team. I don't know that Mitch Trubisky can do that. I also think Mike White could lose to a bad team. I think Mitch has a better shot at getting you 500. And when you have Josh, if he misses a couple of games, just maybe 2 or 3, maybe all you want is that 500 guy. You don't want to roll the dice and have the guy that maybe goes 0-3. But I still think the upside is there with Mike White. But Mitch is a little more steady Eddie.
I think the thing that happened today and where the Bills are long-term with this, Mitch Trubisky got the start today. So I think that tells you that he has the job for the moment. So that means that Mike White has to take the job. And I thought in camp he was close to that. When you come out here and had the start you did today, where you missed 2 or 3 early, yeah, you rebounded, that's good. But I think Mike White has to be cleaner and better than Mitch Trubisky to be able to take the job away. If it's neutral or anywhere close to even, I think Trubisky keeps it. I think today was about that.
You know what I was bummed out about was at the end of the game, the Bills get the ball back, and Shane Buechele had already taken over at quarterback, because I would have liked to have seen Mike White get a chance to make that drive and see how that plays out. It just wasn't in the cards, but I'm with you. I think right now, if you're going to put money on the number 2, it's Mitch.
Let's move to the receiver position, because a couple guys made some big plays today. Christian Wilkerson had what I've called now the most ridiculous and maybe the best potential incompletion you can have for a guy trying to make the team. But the guy who's really the story here is Tyrell Shavers. You know, the deep ball at the end of the half. And, yeah, he was wide open. But getting wide open in that situation is no small thing. The last thing the defense wants to give up is a deep ball in that spot. Shavers is a guy I think that's becoming very, very hard to keep off this 53-man roster.
2 catches, 70 yards, the 58-yarder that you're talking about. Had a chance to talk to him after the game and mentioned that at the end of training camp at Fisher, Sean was asked about Tyrell and said, look, he's a Buffalo Bill kind of guy. And I brought that up to him, and he gets this big smile on his face, and he goes, man, that's all you want from your coach. That's what you want to hear. So whether or not he makes the roster, I don't know, but he just keeps making plays, so it's going to be hard to keep him off.
I think so, too. I think there's probably a world, too, where you can keep the main 4 guys, Samuel, Palmer, Shakir, Keon. You can keep Elijah Moore and Tyrell Shavers, because Shavers, I think, does enough as a special teamer to be a part of it. But, man, he keeps making plays. He keeps looking good. He's doing what everybody asks. And back to your point about being, Sean McDermott saying he's a Buffalo Bill, that's pretty high praise from a coach, thinking about someone he's got to keep on a roster.
And that's no small potatoes for Sean. Like, that is a thing. He wants his type of guys that have the DNA we always hear him talk about.
We will have that interview with Tyrell Shavers coming up a little later on here on Bills Camp Day Recap. Finally, let's talk about the rookies. First chance to see a lot of them. I think probably more bad than good. No one really, I think, overly helped or hurt themselves. Landon Jackson's got to learn to line up on side. Outside of that, though, give me your take on the young guys for game 1.
Yeah, he gets called for the penalty that wiped out an interception for lining up off sides. Right after that, spends the next 3 or 4 plays standing right next to defensive assistant Ryan Nielsen. And there was some teaching and learning going on in that moment. I thought it was cool seeing Deion Walker and Landon Jackson and TJ Sanders get a lot of reps together. Like you said, it wasn't always pretty, but they were on the field and kind of learning together, because that's the future of this D-line.
I was impressed a little bit by Deion Walker. Had a pass breakup, had a good pressure later on. TJ Sanders, I would have liked to see more, but it's still early with him. The defensive backs, very mixed bag. Dorian Strong and Jordan Hancock were going, you got him on the Olszewski touchdown in the third quarter. So not a great intro, but I think, like you said, getting all those reps, you would imagine that's going to be a positive going forward. For Josh Reed, I'm Thad Brown. We're going to have more coming up right after this. We're back here in Bills Camp Day Recap. The Bills lose the opener to the Giants 34-25. After the game, Josh Reed caught up with Tyrell Shavers, one of the heroes of this game, to talk more about not only that big catch at the end of the game, but trying to make enough of an impression to make this team.
Tyrell, 2 catches, 70 yards. You had the big 58-yard catch right before the half. Sets up a field goal. You blow by the defensive backfield. Walk us through that play.
I had a post route. It was quarters coverage, that's the exact coverage you want when we call post route. Just made sure I got a good lean on him, try to get him to flip his hips, and let the quarterback put the ball up there. The guys are probably going to get on me for not scoring a touchdown, but it is what it is. I'm kind of mad at myself, but I'm just happy to make some plays out here.
At the end of camp, Sean McDermott was asked about you. I don't know if you heard what he said, but he said, Tyrell is a Buffalo Bill kind of guy. When you hear something like that from the head coach, how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel amazing, and it just, that's everything I'm working to be. I want to be on this 53-man roster, so it's a good boost of confidence for me. Just got to keep stacking and keep grinding.
how great was it to be back out here in front of these fans?
It was amazing. Bills Mafia is the best fans in the whole NFL. I love them. I love playing at home, and it's amazing.
He's Tyrell Shavers. I'm Josh Reed. Let's send it back to you.
All right, Rachel, Shavers, like we said, very much going to be a factor. 2 more preseason games to go. I think he will need to continue to make an impression, but a guy who I think might have an inside track to a roster spot. Let's talk about our final thoughts from this one. A whole lot of guys played, a whole lot of points were scored, 59 points. A fun preseason game, sort of the mindless, what seemed like incessant reviews. But give me kind of the leftover thing in the notebook you have from this game.
Yeah, one thing that stood out to me was Ty Johnson. It was the first drive, for Bill's first drive of the second quarter. It was all him that entire drive, and that's something you want to see when we're sitting here, talking about James Cook, and it's the uncertainty of him. And Ray Davis, I think, had a quieter day in the rushing game. He obviously had his point after, and that was kind of the highlight of the day for him. But Ty Johnson, kind of made a mark in that drive. He took the team all the way down the field, and yeah, it just really stood out to me.
That was also the point that I kind of landed on too. A running back picture in general, because of the way Ty Johnson played. Ray Davis, to a lesser extent, he really wasn't great as a running back. His highlight was kicking the extra point.
Yeah.
But Frank Gore had a good day too and was impressive in a couple different runs.
Yeah, he did.
I come away from this game, we started with James Cook, we're going to end with James Cook. I feel like the Bills' negotiating position got a little bit better because in this game you saw not only Ray Davis, but Ty Johnson and Frank Gore. If James Cook is not going to suit up for week 1 for whatever reason, I think the Bills have to feel good about the 3 guys they probably would play instead based on what happened in this game. All right, we are all done for preseason game number 1. We'll be back on this week, getting you ready for the Bills and the Bears. Bills Camp Day recap will continue all through the preseason up until the very end when final cutdowns happen. For Rachel Liebert and Josh Reed, I'm Thad Brown. Thanks for watching Bills Camp Day recap. We'll see you again later on this week.